Hi, this is Jaya. In this video, we shall see the summary of The Prisons We Broke by Bybaby Kamble. This is the first work which comes from a Dalit writer, a woman. And this is because it is a woman. This book deals with two major problems of the society. One is the oppression and exploitation of the Dalit by the upper class people, and second, the discrimination which is shown towards women in this patriarchal society. This is a memoir, and she talks about her village Viragon here. And in a memory, she talks about Maharvadas who have never had a prosperous life. And this is because they are ignorant and at the same time they lack the reasoning power, because they never think that they can question certain things when they are ill treated. And at the same time, these Maharvadas are also suffering in poverty and epidemics. Death rate is so very high in Maharvadas because of starvation, that is poverty, and also because of the lack of the medical facilities. Many of them are dying. Above all this, there are so many superstitions which make them blind. Though Hindu religion and gods consider Mahas as dirt, that is how the society treats them and tells them that they are untouchables, Mahar community always upheld the Hindu principles and they thought of gods with great sanctity. Potrajas and possessed women were very common in that village, and whatever poverty they had, they never forgot to give offerings to God. And this has been happening for generations after generations. And one more thing is, this Mahar community, they have the habit of breaking their heads on the stones of Hindu temples with the hope that some miracle will happen and they will prosper in life. But the effect was only curses. They cried at the feet of idols with hopes. But she says the gods never heard them. They smeared kumkum and haldi on the gods. The possessed women were treated with so much of respect. And it is also believed that these possessed women can tell about the future of these Maharvadas and they will bless them with good wishes. So they often practice the rituals that are taught by the same religions which actually treated these Mahars as dirt. And poverty was one problem which was always there for the Mahars. They had the fate of eating only the leftovers which were given by others. All the food they had was the stale bakris and rotten rotis. And the upper caste also considered them as dirt in the garbage, and they'll only throw what is actually should be thrown only in the dustbin. And even for that food, the Mahas had to fight with cats and dogs and vultures. And they had the habit of eating these dead animals because of poverty and hunger. And the upper class Brahmins, they had taken away all the human qualities from the Mahas, and in fact they are the ones who have made them like this, that is eating the dead animals. They have now become beasts. And they lived in dark cells. Their house will be very poorly ventilated, and their hands and foot actually were tied in the chains of slavery. They all were slaves to their masters, and they also valorized the prestige of esker stick, and they thought that it is their duty, that is they are born only to serve their masters, and they never complained about it, and they are living a life which they feel is satisfactory life. They ate the leftovers and they were happy with it, and they accepted their fate. They thought this is their fate, and they themselves started considering themselves as untouchables. And for all the hard work and for all this so much of laborious work which they do for their masters, they only earned miseries and abuses as their remuneration. And even in that poverty, they never forgot to love each other and show kindness to their fellow men. And for generations after generations, they served their masters very obediently. And all what they got in return is the upper caste community threw abuses at them if they did not fall in their feet, because they are their masters. And when the masters are coming across in their way, they immediately have to go to the side of the road and give way for their masters. And in this, she says the condition of the Mahar women is even more miserable, because they have to do all the housework and then they have to go and sell wood so that they can earn money for their daily bread. And while they are going around, they will collect the leftovers from the other places, and that is the food which they have to give to their children. And most of the time this food will be given to the children, and the women will go on hunger, and this happens almost on all the days. And particularly when ritual comes, the work for the women will be doubled, because they have to plaster their house with cow dung and clean the utensils and the clothes. And the worse than anything is, the girls in the mahars will get married at the age of 8 or 9, and they become pregnant at a very tender age, which will of course create a lot of complications in their first delivery. And they led a very pathetic life in their husband's home. And if they do not do any household duties, or if they are not good in their household duties, they'll be abused by the in-laws, and they'll be scared even to go back to their home, because they will get scoldings from their father and brothers. And she also talks about the influence of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar in a memoir. She says Ambedkar was the light of their life. He asked the Mahars to educate the children, and he also inspired them to fight against atrocities which were shown towards them. He asked them not to give offerings to the god, because the gods never cared about them. So why are you giving offerings to the god, was the question he asked. And at the same time he asked them not to eat the dead animals. Baby Kamble and her relatives actively participated in all his revolutionary activities, and she was much influenced by Ambedkar. She loved her father also. Her father often told her not to work for money, because this work will not value money always. If you are going to become poor, then if they had valued you only for your money, when you become poor, then they will not value you. But at the same time, if you live with dignity, that will support you throughout your life. And money cannot always give us satisfaction in the life. She and her relatives and some of her friends went to school. They were there also ill-treated by the teachers and other students of the upper class, but somehow they managed to survive. And she says that she was very much influenced by the movie Sati Savitri. And Ambedkar's speech reverberated in the village, and the villagers also reiterated his words. We can also see an influence of Buddha in her writings. And in the last part of the book, she talks about the responsibility of the present society. Even now, she says discrimination is not completely wiped out from a society. There are a lot of villages which should be brought into the light of the mainstream. And educated people should work for the others. Once Baha Sahib worked for the community, and that is why that society got freedom. Now, those who enjoy freedom should work to unchain others. Education, prosperity, and comforts should not make us unaware of the problems of the society. We will have to utilize our facilities to support and guide others to the mainstream. Only then we can enjoy the real value of our society, says the author. So if you have anything more to add on to what I've said, please write it in the comment box. Like the video, share it with your friends. And if you have not subscribed my channel, please subscribe and support. Thank you.